Hi, this is Richard Montañez. I'm the creator of Hot Cheetos, one of the biggest products in the world. Created 14 other products, and it's fantastic to be here with you. And, I spoke with a couple of your leaders, and they were telling me about the theme and the expectations, and I really got that much more excited because here's what I got when they were telling me who my audience was. People that own the restaurants, chefs, people who serve the tables, dishwashers. I was like, oh my God. What great example of unity. That's something that corporate America needs to understand a little bit more. Because usually what you see in these type of conferences, is you'll see them designed for the executives, and then you hope that it trickles down to the front line. This is probably the first time I've seen this type of an audience. And I've spoken all over the world. So I am so excited again to be with you, and I hope that you enjoy it. So let me tell you my story. And in my story, I'm going to be talking about leadership principles. As a matter of fact, I've always said, in every room, there's two types of leaders. You're one or the other. Let's take the first one. The first one is the leadership of a pharaoh. What is a pharaoh? Exactly that. A leader who takes people captive to build everything in their image. Everything looks like them, everything is about them, everything is them. Then there's the deliverer leader. And what is that? Exactly how it sounds. These are leaders that come into your life to help deliver you to be everything that you are intended to be. See, I've had both. My life changed when the deliverer came into my life and helped me to be everything that I was intended to be. So, got hired at Frito-Lay, and there I was, mopping the floors, happy as can be, and just wanted to be the best at whatever I was going to do, learning all the equipment, but still being the janitor. A new CEO comes into town, shuts down the plants across the world, and you know something was up because you never shut production down. But he did. And he created a video, because in those days, it was either, there was no email, it was either a fax or a video. So everybody came in to hear this new CEO talking the video. And in this video, he said this: I'm giving all of you permission to act like an owner. This is your company. I need your help. Do things to turn it around. And I remember, I'm like, oh my God. Did he just tell the janitor that I can act like an owner of this company? I've never had an opportunity like that. I wasn't going to blow it. That's one thing that leaders need to do, is they can see opportunities that other people can't see. Because the rest of my group said, Richard, he's not talking to us. He's talking to them. He's not for you, Richard. And I'm like, you know what? I did something that maybe you have to do, or maybe you've already done it. Because I broke ranks. And I couldn't wait to get home and tell Judy. I said, Judy, the new CEO said for everyone to act like an owner. And she said, well, act like an owner. And I thought, well, I don't know what that means. I'm the janitor. So, I started to research more about our company and what we were all about. Right next to the plant was the sales side. So I went into the warehouse one day, and I saw a salesman. I didn't know him. I just walked up to him and I said, hey, I want to learn the company more. And can I go with you on my day off? He said, I'll load your truck. I'll do all the work. Everything you want me to do, I'll do it. And I'll do it for free. Well, he looked at me, and you tell a salesman free labor. He's like, hey, you can come on your vacation if you want. So he said, meet me here at 5 o'clock in the morning. So on my first day off, I went to the warehouse, and I met him at 5 in the morning. And he taught me how to read an order, for the stores. He taught me how to pull an order. He taught me how to load the truck to maximize it. Then he taught me how to follow a route to maximize, the mileage. And when we got to the store, he taught me how to fill up the racks. We don't just throw the chips in the racks. We place them gently, and all you need is one revelation to create a revolution. What is a revelation? Something that was always there, but has been unveiled or revealed to you. I was going to get a revelation that was definitely going to create a revolution in my life, my company, and the industry. So I was loading up. I looked. I saw it. I looked at him. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? He couldn't see it, and I didn't tell him. You know why he couldn't see it? Because he was an expert. You see, don't become such an expert that you can't see things anymore. The people that work for me, I tell them, bring me ideas that no one else can see. Use your imagination. Tap into the unseen and pull it out into the seen. We'll make it a reality. He was an expert. I'm never going to be an expert. I'm always going to be that person that can see the things that other people can't see. What did I see? Well, I looked over there. I saw the spice rack. I saw people buying spices, chilies in bags. And then I looked at our products. And remember, this was a long time ago. Like I said, probably many of you weren't even born when I did this. Here's where my products. Lay's, Ruffles, Fritos. Lay's, Ruffles, Fritos. I remember I'm thinking, what about the spices? What about people that like spices? They like a kick in their product and their snacks. I'm like, oh, that's what I'll do. So I went home and I told my inspiration, Judy. I said, hey, Judy, she's a wonderful cook. I said, hey, Judy, we're going to put your salsa, your chili sauce on a chip. And she's like, you always need that person that'll roll with you. That person that is just as crazy as you. That person that says, yeah, go do it. Let's see what happens. Full of courage. She gave me courage. She said, yeah, let's do it. And she said, what product? And I'm like, I'm stuck. I don't know. So a couple of weeks went by and we went to our grocery store. And the reason I went to the same grocery store because back in those days I didn't have a bank account. So the guy would cash my check and we'd buy. Nice guy, I just loved community. He knows me by name, I know him. Cash my check and I buy groceries. Well, outside there was a street vendor. And he'd come on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he would set up a little cart with corn on the cob. It'd be boiling in water, and he'd have another stand with chili, butter, cheese, mayonnaise, for whatever you wanted to put on that corn. And you could get one for $1. So I walked out, and I loved this guy. I wish I could still. Why did I love him? Because he's standing outside with his wife and his 2 children. And he's standing there and he's greeting me like he's the owner of a 5-star restaurant. You see, it was his last name on that thing. It was just a street vendor, but not to him. It was a 5-star restaurant. He was so happy, smiling. Hi, Richard, how are you? And I'd say, let me have 2. And, he'd be like, with everything, sí, con todo, with everything, put everything on there. And I bought one for me and my other son. And, we sat down. And I remember I took a bite of it. Revelation, what is it? Something that was always there but going to be revealed or unveiled to you. I took a bite and I looked at it. I said, oh my God, that looks like a Cheeto. So I said this. This is important what I said. It's what every entrepreneur needs to say at some point. It's what every leader needs to say. What if? What if I put chili on this Cheeto? What will happen? So I ran inside and I told Judy, I said, Judy, we got it. We're going to put your chili on Cheetos. And she said, great idea. She said, go to the plant the next day and bring some Cheetos with no cheese on it. So I went to the plant. I remember I got a trash bag and I filled it up with a bunch of Cheetos before they went to the cheese process. And, there I was with a trash bag full of Cheetos and I walked out. So I got home. We mixed it up. Made the right amount of batch. She took some to her work. I took some to my work. We came back. Everybody loved it. Judy said, Richard, they told me you should call the CEO. And really, you think so? And she said, yes, everybody loved it. And people where I worked at the plant, they're like, wow, this is the best thing. We don't have this. So the next day, Judy says, call the CEO. So I went and I walked into where all the secretaries were at. In those days, again, no email. The communication was by phone. So every company had a corporate directory, and they still do today. So you could just turn the page if you want to find plant manager in Kansas. Well, the very first one was CEO. And I remember I walked in and I asked the secretary, can I use your phone? And she started to yell at me. She said, no, this is not for private use, just company time. I'm the janitor. It's not going to be no company time. But I remember I looked at her and I said, I'm going to call the CEO. Her attitude did a 360. She said, yes, use my phone. She kind of singled everyone in the background. I didn't understand what was going on. But she realized she had never seen anybody get fired on the spot because I was about to break protocol. And she was kind of like this attitude, hey, everybody, the janitor is calling the CEO. Come on, this is going to be a great show. I didn't know. I just had an idea. I didn't know if he was a pharaoh or a deliverer, but we were going to find out. I didn't know if he was telling me the truth in that video when he said act like an owner, but guess what? We're going to find out. Secretary answered the phone. She was his executive assistant. Exactly that. She was an executive herself because she saw beyond what everyone else could see. But here's all the conversation was. Hi, can I speak to the CEO? She says, who is this? Richard Montañez. Right away she said, well, I don't recognize that name. Because, she knew all the presidents. So again, only the president would call the CEO. Well, no, I work in California. She said, oh, you're the senior vice president of California. I said, no, I work in Southern California. Oh, you're the vice president of Southern California. No, I work in the plant. She said, you're the vice president of operations. No, I work inside. Oh, you're the director? No. Plant manager? Well, what are you? I'm the janitor. She was a visionary, a leadership of a woman. She said, hang on. A couple of minutes went by. I know that she went and told her boss, you need to take this phone call. And he said, hi, Richard, I hear you got an idea for me. And I began to tell him in my own words, yeah, I saw that video, and you said act like an owner. And by the way, I've been employee of the month 3 times, so I had his attention. And he said, I'll be there in 2 weeks. I'm coming to see you. I thought, oh my God. Hung up the phone. I was on a cloud. I did it. The CEO of one of the top companies in the world is coming down to see the uneducated janitor. The phone calls. The CEO calls the president, the vice president, senior. Every head was called down, and the conversation was the same. Who let the janitor call the CEO? Who's this Richard Montañez? So by the time he got to the plant manager, guess what? He was in fumes. So he comes and he finds me. It might take like 20 minutes by the time he found me. And he just started to rip me apart. He said, who do you think you are? You realize what you've done? Everybody's coming. Chief marketing officer, chief financial, everybody's coming, And he's looking at me and it's your fault. He's like, now I got to get the place ready. Now I got to paint everything. So he's scared. I didn't understand what he was going through, but he just ripped me apart. And I remember I went home and he said, you're doing the presentation. I said, I'm doing the presentation? I've never even done homework. So I went home and Judy could tell when I walked in, she said, what's the matter? And I said, I'm going to get fired. She said, why? And I said, because you told me to call the CEO. I did. Now I'm going to get fired because he's coming here. I'm going to have to do a presentation. I've never done anything. She said, Richard, calm down. It's not that bad. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the library, pick out a book on how to develop a marketing strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, we actually did that. Went to the library, found like 3 books, picked one, and I actually copied 3 paragraphs. I didn't even know what they meant, but they just sounded good. And I remember I put them on transparencies. We made the transparencies. I went and bought my first tie for $3.50. This isn't it. Had the first tie, my neighbor put it in a knot the night before. Did my presentation. I made 100 bags, me and my family. I did clear bags, and I'm a little bit of an artist, so I drew on the bags. The last thing I needed to do was I needed to seal it. This is where innovation comes in. This is when you have a conference like this and you allow everyone to be everything they were intended to be. Ingenuity, innovation. I thought, how can I seal this? And I thought, oh, I know what. With the iron. We call it the plancha. So 100 bags, and the iron at the right temperature sealed them perfectly. So there I had my 100 bags. I had my transparency presentation. I had my $3 tie on. And that day came. Corporate jets flying in. People from all over the place coming in to hear me. And I'm walking out the door. As I'm walking out the door, the first thing she does, she inspires me. What is that? Breathe life into me. She's telling me how smart and brilliant I am. Second thing she does, she gives me courage. She said, Richard, I don't know anyone who has more courage than you. She encouraged me. The last one, she reminded me, said, Richard, don't forget what your dad and your grandfather taught you. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget your last name. You go get what belongs to this family. Remember your last name. You know, you do those three things to your team members or any individual, your family, just imagine what they can accomplish. So I get to the plant. I'm as nervous as it can be. And guess what? Everybody that is there, they're all mad. And here's why they're mad. I couldn't understand, you know. I mean, they're giving me dirty looks. I couldn't understand. Why are you mad? I'm trying to help the company, but they were mad because they felt like this. Well, what's wrong with the CEO? Why did he bring me here again to listen to the uneducated janitor? What is this janitor going to teach me? I'm the chief marketing officer. I'm in charge of operations. I lead 100,000 people. I don't understand it. So I was like, oh, even that much more scared. First presentation I'd ever done. As I said, I'd never done homework. So guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I started my presentation, and it was going great. I had everybody's attention. And how did I do it? I was speaking from here, from my heart. I was telling them, if we did this, you know, Dad, you know, I wasn't an executive, I wasn't an expert. I was just like excited. You know, I had passion and winding down. One of the top executives in the room said, well, I have a question. Well, I turned the other way because I saw his hand up and I was acting like I couldn't see it. And he finally called my name and I turned around. He said, I have a question. I'm thinking, and I said this, sir, we don't have time for questions. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, Judy didn't get me ready for questions. She just said, do this and do that. So he goes, it's a simple question. I thought, oh, okay, sir. You know, I called him sir, and he said, how much market share are we talking about? I almost fainted with fear. I mean, it was just like one of those moments. I'm not afraid of anything, but at that time, fear just rushed my heart. I almost fainted. There was a door. I said, you know what? I should just run out that door because after all, well, I am just a janitor. I shouldn't be here anyways. Who do I think I am? Everything that ever, adversity that came to me at once. I thought, market share. Oh, we haven't read that chapter yet. I don't know what market share is. Of course I know what it is today. I think I'm one of the best at market share. But back then, I had no idea what that was. But I've always said this. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you already know this. I'll say this, that sometimes in order to achieve your greatness, you have to be willing to look ridiculous. Because most of the time, greatness comes in a ridiculous fashion. I remember our racks, they were this big. I thought, oh, I got it. And you know, with the most ridiculous smile you could ever imagine, I lifted my hands up like this and I said, this much market share. And I looked around the room and I could kind of see people were like putting their heads down and a couple of whispers, did he just say market share? And a couple of snickers and, you know, and I didn't know what was going on. I believed it. Asked me how much market share? This much. Ridiculous statement. But the CEO was sitting in the front row, right there. Talked about a Pharaoh deliverer. CEO was a deliverer. He stood up. He addressed his whole team and he said this. Ladies and gentlemen, do you realize that Richard just showed us how to go after this much market share? And then the senior vice president of sales, who they all became good friends of mine. He was a young man. He stood up and he addressed his sales team. He said, sales team, you think we can go get that market share? You know that ridiculous statement made me a legend in my company? That's how Hot Cheetos came into existence. You know that after Hot Cheetos, I created about 14 products. Hot Cheetos is getting close to turn to $2 billion a year. $2 billion. It's about in every country in the world. It's about in every store in the world. And that was the first of many products that I created. I created that product with pennies. I did all the work. We have food scientists that get paid to do that. I was never paid to do that. It's just when the CEO said to act like an owner, was my opportunity to act like an owner. And I did all this because of my last name. Now remember that. You can do it for your pay, but that's going to wear out until your next raise. Do it for your last name. So listen, I've had a great time, and in closing, I want to set this challenge to everyone in the room. You know, because here's what happened to me. My leader, the deliverer, when everyone else saw a janitor, he saw an executive with $1 billion idea. So my challenge to you is, when you see your dishwasher, your waiter, what do you see? Do you see somebody who can own that restaurant? Do you see somebody who can create their own restaurant? Do you see what others can't see?